You know, Eddie, everybody knows Queensberry have got the best heavyweights on the planet. You've got Tyson Fury, Zhilei Zhang, Daniel Dubum, Joseph Parker, Moses Itama. Tyson Fury? Oh, come on, Frank. Come on, Frank. He's retired. Have you got dementia? Matchroom have the best paid ever, Gage, and the best prospect in the world, Johnny Fisher. But there's one thing we both agree on. Subscribe and like to the Triple B. He's the best boxing channel in the world. Well, yeah, I do agree with you, Frank. I do agree. Yeah, thanks, fellas. Maybe you boys need to get a hotel room together, yeah? Get busy. Watch the Triple B video while you're doing it and while Gay films. Anyways, yo, so I did a video on Ben Shalom and his stable, and you know, I think the consensus is that it's completely whack. He's got on his website, he's got 29 fighters, yeah, and I identified only 2 that had any value: Martin Bakoli and Adam Azim, as long as Azim's chin holds up. Although Azim did avoid, what's his name, Dalton Smith. So whatever, man. But, you know, I mean, part of me can understand that, because it will be, you know, if they carry on to world level, it'll be a huge fight. So, I mean, although I like to see prospects fight early, you know, I can understand that, you know, the managerial thought behind waiting for that fight. But whatever. So Shalom has Bakoli, Adam Azim, and Eubank Jr. for one pay-per-view. And I don't know, whatever happens next, but you know, if it sells, you know, well, they're going, like I said, they're going to Ben Shalom's favourite stadium, Spurs Stadium, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they're going to fight there. Like I said, it's like over 60,000 people. Do you really expect 60,000 people to watch that dumb fight? And I've already slated the undercard, which is whack as anything. Anyway, so, but I had a look at I rated his whole stable. And some of me fans were saying, well, Mike, why don't you do Queensberry stable and Matchroom stable and, you know, go through all their fighters? And I'm like, yeah, good idea. So I had a look, but to show you how bad Shalom is, like Matchroom and Queensberry have got so many fighters, you know. It was an hour long for me to review that Ben Shalom bum, his stable. Oh, he hasn't updated his website. He hasn't put Roman Fury on it. But the less said about that bum, the better. I've done another video slating him anyway. Make sure you check these videos out. But but yeah, so you know, the number of fighters a Matchroom and Queensberry have, it's just too much, man. It would probably be like 3-hour video each or something. So I don't know how many fighters they've got each exactly, but it certainly looks like it's a lot more than Shalom. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 3 times as many as Shalom. So I thought I would have a look at the heavyweights. Because the heavyweights are the kings, the kangs, right? You know, everybody know that. You know, you know, they're the rulers. You can forget your Gay Weathers or your Canelos or whoever you want, man. Your Pernell Whitakers. Yeah, they can't hang with the heavyweights. You know, even an ordinary one. As I said many times, many times. Dave Allen or, you know, Johnny Fisher would bash those all-time greats up because they're just too big. So we got so I thought what I'd do is just go through the heavyweights and rate them. So the I'm firstly going to go through Matchroom. That's Eddie Hearn's stable. And let's see what he's got. Yeah, let's start with Matchroom. So that's Eddie Hearn's company. Well, it's passed to him by Barry Hearn, his father, but his weirdo father. But yeah, Barry once said, I know someone who worked with Barry and Eddie for Matchroom, and some old dude. And he goes, I think it was a lawyer or something like that. An outsider kind of thing, but, you know, you do some work with him, and apparently, you know, Eddie Hearn was a young kid, like 19, he seemed really nice, allegedly, and he said he wanted to go into boxing and promote boxers, and Barry apparently turned around and patronized him. He goes, look, I couldn't make any money out of boxing, I could make any money out of boxing, so why do you think you will? I mean, Eddie's done a lot better But for Barry Hearn, you know, his main thing was snooker, right? You know, the boxing was just a side thing. So, but he said he didn't make no money out of it, even though he did have some big fights. Eddie, I imagine, has made some money out of it, certainly. So you know, he proved his father wrong. It's not the first time either. Well, I suppose the best place to start with the heavyweights, especially, I don't read any matchroom fighters, certainly in the Eddie Hearn era, is with a Gay J, Anthony Gay J Joshua. So Joshua, you know, really made, you know, the modern Eddie Hearn matchroom, you know, because he brought a lot of eyes, a lot of money. I mean, I had to pay him a lot, but, you know, I assume he made some profit out of it, you know. But, you know, like, you know, Gay J's star's fallen very, very rapidly. You know, we all knew he was a bit suspect around the whiskers, Vladimir Klitschko, you know. Put him over, and I probably should have knocked him out if he jumped on him. But he's you know, he's very safety first, Vladimir. And apparently Vitaly in the corner was telling him, just don't jump on him, just box. You know, they probably thought, right, he's hurting now. KJ will back off and they'll just outbox him and clutch him. But that wasn't the case. Joshua came back. I mean, to be frank, that was an impressive victory. And he'd also floored Klitschko earlier. You know, and that's a bit of a theme for KJ's fights, some of his fights, i.e., for example, his first loss, Andy Ruiz Jr., you know, the taco pizza-eating king who loves to get his greens on. And that was one of my favourite fights of all time. I've said that many times. I won enough cash on it, like, I don't know, 800 quid to $1,000, I can't remember, when I had no money. And, you know, I stayed up and he put over Ruiz. I'm like, oh, damn. And I told everyone, Ruiz will give him a good fight. And he's a much better natural fighter than Ruiz. And when Ruiz went there, I was like, oh, no. And then he get up and he's got Gay J all over the place and over. It was super. But anyway, since then, so Gay J regained the title against Ruiz that didn't train. Well, he trained, eating pizza and smoking weed. Yeah, and having IV drips. You know, his girlfriend grassed him up for having IV drips. I think that's probably, it could be just cover up the drugs. It doesn't look like he's on PEDs. He might be, Andy, because he can still be fat and be on PEDs. Franz Botha was never that muscular, and he was, I think, the first boxer ever to fail a PED test, because before they didn't do it. So Gay J came back, won the title, and then he fought Usyk, Alexander Usyk. Now, he was expected to be too big, too strong, and even I did. I thought so as well, to be honest with you. I just thought Gay J's size would be too much. You know, he looked okay at heavyweight, Usyk, but, you know, he struggled with Chisora's size. But you know, he put on a bit more weight, but he was still like, I don't know, just under 220 pounds. He's Gay J, 240 pounds, around that. But he absolutely schooled the Batman. He schooled Joshua from pillar to post. You know what I mean? And almost stopped him in the last round, but they rung the bell early. They had a rematch, straight after rematch. Was it in Saudi this time? And, you know, he got schooled again, Gay J. And, you know, there was one round when he landed, like, a couple of shots, but most of them were blocked by Usyk. He sort of opened up Gay J, but Usyk blocked most of the shots. And, you know, everyone's like going, oh, he's done much better performance. No, he wasn't. He was schooled. Forget the stupid scorecards on either of those matches. Yeah. But Gay J wasn't quite ready to be finished. Yeah. He came back. He beat up the naive Swedish quitter Otto Wallin, who's now fighting Chisora, impressively. And also Ngannou, after giving Tyson, admittedly a fat, untrained Tyson, you know, a very difficult fight, a close fight, and put him over. Gay J absolutely brutalized Ngannou. Ngannou found out the difference between an MMA punch. All right, dissing MMA fighters, they got to learn a lot more moves, because was a boxer just concentrate on the hands, and a big, heavyweight, powerful puncher. And Ngannou was absolutely, you know, I mean, out. I mean, it was a super message, actually. And I thought, and everyone's going, Gay J's back. He had a new trainer, Ben Davison. Ben Gavison. You know, people were saying, yeah, he's back. The real KJ's back. And he was and obviously they put him with Daniel Dubum. Dubum, obviously, is a Queensbury guy. Frank Warren dude. But, you know, Eddie and Frank are now talking, as you saw in my intro. And they're bigging up the Triple B, and so they should. Because I'm the only true speaker there. The only true speaker. And the only one with skills like this. But, yeah, Gay J. So, I mean, look, with his name, you can still make money. Right? Right? But Dubum smoked him unexpectedly. And to me as well. I didn't expect it at all. He absolutely smoked him. Battered him. KJ didn't win a round. He got humiliated. And it was funny, even though I lost so much money. As I said, I had an accumulator. I got all the results right, and by method as well. Points, Shiraz KO, you know, all these kind of things. And Kakachi points, I think. The rest of them. KJ, if KJ had stopped Dubum, then I would have won 250 quid off, I think it was a tenner or something. I can't even remember. And I was shocked, but I was so excited. It was so funny watching Gay J in a bar getting beaten up, you know. And you know, like most normies, they would support Gay J because they love Joshua because he's such a good guy because the mainstream media's told him, and he's so lovely, and he's the guy that you remember when they released that press release and it appeared in all newspapers. Joshua's the kind of man that every woman wants her daughter to bring back. Yeah, like a man. Yeah, like right. Show, yeah. Huh? Sophie Hardacre Jacobs, or whatever her name is, who lives in Hampshire, yeah, with a pretty blonde daughter who she spends 50 grand a year on to go to school and learn manners and be educated, you know. And what she wants her girl Hermione to turn up with a huge, semi-literate, muscular, PED abusing drug dealer called Gay J. Nah, come on, man. I mean, he wouldn't anyway because he's a batty man. So, yeah, it doesn't matter how many. Any woman would want her daughter to bring Gay J back, and it mostly be hood rats, right? Because they want to say, look, my daughter's getting out with Joshua, and then they'd want some of his money. But no upper class or middle class mother wants anything to do with a man like Gay J rumping their daughter up. So, but like I said, they don't have to worry. They should be worried about him rumping their son up, but because he's a batty man's. But yeah, so Gay J, well, you know, he's coming to the end of his career. He's, you know, if he gets one more defeat and he got to retire, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't quite know who he's going to fight at this point. I mean, initially the hope was that Tyson Fury, coming off loss to Usyk as well, would fight Joshua, right, in some big stadium fight, and it still would sell out. I mean, it's 2 years too late, 3 years too late, whatever you want, but it would still sell out just because they're names. But it would have been, you know, if it had happened back in the heyday, it would have been the biggest fight ever for Britain, without a doubt, and a huge fight globally as well. But, you know, Tyson Fury's retired now anyway, and both of them are coming off losses. So yeah, you don't know with Tyson. I'm sure with a big enough payday out dangling in front of his nose, he'll come back. You know, and of course Tyson Fury is with Queensbury, or is, you know, depending. I mean, he's still on the contract, even though he's retired, I imagine. So if he comes back, you know, the Gay J Tyson Fury fight will sell. I still think Fury will win, although Gay J, I mean, Gay J's chinny. His chin might have been cracked, but I think Tyson Fury's punch resistance has gone a bit. So it'd be an interesting fight, you know. I would lean towards Fury. But, you know, there's not much left with Gay J. If Fury doesn't come out, they'll probably put him against Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, again, can punch really hard, but he does not look good, you know. He got zhanged. Once you get Big Bang zhanged, flattened, can you come back from being zhanged? Joe Joyce can't. Joe Joyce ruined by Joe Lee Jang, well, twice. But he come out like awful against Del Bum Chisora. So, Deontay Wilder, he's always dangerous with his punch. I mean, in the prime, there was talk of Gay J vs Wilder, and I was going, Wilder's going to do him. Wilder's confidence was flying high. But now it's been battered, stopped badly, right, twice. by Tyson Fury, then getting schooled by Joseph Parker, and then getting big bang Zhilei Zhang's, you know, you'd have to have Gage the favourite. But, the final fight that's been in the chat is Martin Bakoli. Turkey wants it in Africa, you know, a new rumble in the jungle, the Congolese. He's the fake Nigerian roadman. Oh, no, sorry, he's British, isn't he? He's British. He was born here. He's British, isn't he? Yeah. The fake British Nigerian roadman with Irish ancestry, whatever you want to call him anyway. And that would be big. But Martin Bakoli's already got a fight against Efe Ajagba, another Nigerian. And it's a dangerous fight. Ajagba's only lost once, and he's dangerous. He's dangerous. I reviewed the Bakoli Ajagba fight. I mean, you know, he's got some good wins. He's only lost against Frank Sanchez, yeah, who then got done by Agit Kabayel, but he's got some good wins. He beat the Corey King, Guido Vianello, Zan Kosobuski, some other guys. So it's not a given for Bakoli, who can be lazy. But that's the future for Gage. I can't see him having more than 3 fights, surely, for the rest of his career, you know? Surely. And he'll probably get banged out in 2 of them. So, yeah, Gage is... Matchroom's top boy, but, you know, he's not that impressive, yo. Then we've got Filip Hrgovic. Filip Hrgovic has been touted for years, right? For years. I think he got a bronze medal in the Olympics. He has flattered to deceive slightly. He has beat Zhilei Zhang, but some people think it was a robbery. He got put over by Zhang. But Zhang was, you know, it's typical of Zhang. You know, he'll hurt people, put them over, but he hasn't got a very good work rate. So Hrgovic nicked it. His dad had died recently, so a lot of people say, oh, you know, the guy's head wasn't right for the fight. You know, he missed his dad, and I kind of get the feeling with Hrgovic, he doesn't really want to box, or at least not anymore. When he was 19, right, he's a 6'6" guy, right. He's a big lump. But when he was 19, a kid, he went to David Gay's gym, and he sparred Wilder and Hay. And Hay was so impressed with him. He said, this guy's going to be heavyweight champion. And, you know, he kind of thought he would. He went to the 2016 Olympics in Brazil. He beat Alieren Demiri Rezan, who's good. Lenia Pero, a Cuban. And then he lost split decision to Tony Yoka. For some reason, in the Brazil Olympics, they were desperate for Yoka to win, and he got. Some say it's a robbery. Hrgovic should have won. It was a split decision, and certainly Joe Joyce was robbed in the final by Yoka. They wanted Yoka and his girlfriend Estelle Mosley or whatever she won a gold medal in the Biatch fights. You know, they wanted to make a story out of them, but anyway, Yoka's a bum. As we know now. As we know, he's a bum. So, you know, he's a nutting man, Yoka. But as for back to Hrgovic, you know, he had he had a high stoppage ratio, you know, as an amateur. These days, in the old days, right, when he used to wear little gloves, no head guards. And I know that they don't do head guards now at the top level, but I think they still did in 2016. I can't even remember. And they will do it at lower level, club level and stuff. But in the old days, you get more knockouts because people would wear pro gloves. Whereas now, I think they even increased the weight of them. But a lot of the padding is in the front of the glove. So there's a lot less power. And the old gloves, you know, were not filled with foam. They were harder material. So, you know, Hrgovic's got like 40% KO ratio for the pros, in the amateurs, which is pretty good. So he can punch, right? But like I say, flat to deceive. His best win, I guess, would be Zhilei Zhang over 12. But again, he was put over, and it was a very tight decision. I don't have any problem with the decision, but it definitely was close. Who else? He knocked out Eric Molina. Everyone knocks him out. He beat Kevin Johnson on points, which everyone else does. You know, he's been matched kind of slowly. I mean, since he turned pro back in 2017, he's only had 18 fights. Dempsey McKean That was a messy, ugly fight. He knocked him out in 12 rounds. I thought he should do McKean before the halfway stage. And obviously since then, Moses Italma has KO'd McKean. Hrgovic did KO Mark Demore in a round, and won some good money on that because I knew that bum wouldn't go long. But Daniel Dubum upset him, and I believe it was to me it was a decent upset because Dubum, at the time was expected to quit. He was a quitter, He quit against Usyk and against a jab and some punches that missed him. He quit against Joe Joyce. Kevin Lerena, who's nothing special, almost knocked him out in a round and bizarrely seemed to hold off. So everyone was not everyone, but I was expecting Hrgovic, because he's open to the right hand, Dubum. Hrgovic has got a decent right hand, decent power, and he was landing it. I expected him to make Dubum quit, but no, Dubum hung in there tough. As I said, it must be his PEDs. And Hrgovic didn't quit per se, but he gassed, and he's gassed in a few fights. He has gassed in a few fights. It's almost like he doesn't take his training seriously. As I said to you, I don't think he really wants it. El Animal, as he calls himself. Unfortunately, it will probably be a waste of talent. So, I don't know, what do we give him? Let's give him marks out of 10. Hrgovic. Yeah, Gage out of 10 now. 6 out of 10. Hrgovic, I'm giving probably the same. 6 out of 10. So, yeah, let's see what else. What else Eddie's got? Yeah, the next fighter on Matchroom stable, Dempsey McKean. I think he was vaguely well rated at one point. He was unbeaten. Then Hrgovic. He was matched with Hrgovic. So even though they're both Eddie Hearn fighters, Eddie matched him. I think he probably realised Dempsey was a bit of a bum. I mean, like I say, mostly promoters don't like to match their own fighters together. Shalom does it all the time, but he don't know shit about boxing. But in this case, did. And also, I think it was a Turkey show. So they're both, he was like, well, they're both getting paid a lot of money, and I get my things, my slices. So they were put together. McKean had a messy fight against Hrgovic before getting stopped in the last. And then in his last fight, he got absolutely blitzed by Moses Itama. I was annoyed because, I remember before the fight, I'm thinking there's a good chance Itama's going to bang him out in a round because Itama's got a lot of first round knockouts, right? Itama obviously is on Fisheye stable. We'll get back to that, but he got battered in a round. Lasted 1 minute 57. The Aussie, I thought he might give Itama a bit of trouble with his awkwardness, and because he's tall as well, 6'6", and I thought he must know that Itama can punch, so he's got to be careful with hanging his chin out, and he was awkward for about 30 seconds, and then Itama started to batter him and smoked him in 157. And I was very annoyed with myself. I knew that was a good bet. I can't remember what the odds are, but it probably would have been, 6-1 or something. Anyway, you can't get them all. So that's Dempsey to McKean. What do I give him? I ain't give him 2 out of 10, man. That's a bit harsh, you could say, but, he's a bum. He's been knocked out twice in a row. He's never beaten anyone vaguely world class. Even recently, he knocked out Scott Belshaw. You remember that bum from Northern Ireland? He's moved to Australia. He was being touted by Frank Maloney. He also don't know shit about boxing. He touted him as being as good as Lennox Lewis. Anyway, move on. Enough about McKean. He's whack. Now, Dillian Whyte used to be with Eddie. He's gone now. I can't remember whether he... obviously he failed the drugs test against the Gage, but he's gone. I can't remember whether it's a dispute or whether, Eddie Andre's bad karma to have a drug cheat. I don't really know. I'm not going to look into it. I don't really care. Dillian Whyte's a has-been. And he's still trying to get a Gage fight. It's pathetic, man. I'm bored of Dillian. Sorry. He's provided entertainment and he's been tough, but he's a drug cheat. He's failed 3 tests, 2 of which he got off. Anyway, he's yesterday's news. And really, the rest of Matchroom's heavyweights are pure prospects. So we've had Gage, obviously he's worth a payday, even though it's come to the end. Hrgovic, if you can take it seriously, it's still a danger. Dempsey McKean, the only person he's a danger to is his grandmother, or Mark Demori. And then we get on to the prospects. Now, obviously, the big British prospect is Johnny Fisher. Johnny Fisher. And Johnny Fisher, he sells a lot of tickets, as everyone says. We all know that. We all know he's very popular with his enormous, fat, stinking, gammon pig of a dad, right? And I'm worried about him, man. He's like 49. He looks... I mean, he could be 60 easy, but it's not even that. The problem is obesity. And he claimed he was going on a diet. He came back from his diet even fatter. You know, he's got breastises. You know, he should be enjoying his life, like I said. Yeah, it should be the peak of his life. His son's a big name. He's got a channel. He's recognised everywhere in Essex. They must be getting money. He's got a nice family. I like the way they are as a family and they stick all together. But no, this guy wants to eat himself to death. You know, I mean, Johnny needs to have a word. And Johnny, you know, I've had peeps, including one at Exeter, and another guy he was Exeter University, Johnny Fisher, weren't he? But and also a guy from what's the area he lives? Essex, right? Romford, is it? Yeah, the Romford Bull, of course. You know, he's a big PD abuser. I mean, so what? So's everyone. Yeah, he can't be that big. You know, he can't be as big as Gay J or other cheats like that. But you know, everyone's always going, he's never going to get that far. I always said he could get to the British title, depending on who he fights. People always go, can you win the British title? Well, it depends on who he fights, man. You know, depends on who you fight for the British title. You know what I'm saying? The same with the world title. If you fight a bum for the WBO title, like, you know, someone like Liam Smith, who never beat a world-class fighter, you know, can claim to be world champion, even though he's never beat a world-class fighter in his life. With the exception possibly of Eubank, but that wasn't for the title. So Fisher, now, you know, Fisher blasted out a lot of people. Alan Babbage, yeah, I won a lot of money on that. I told me funds to bet. Apart from that, you know, I think he's got now he's got 13 wins, 11 KOs. So there was one guy who went the distance who was quite tricky, some Spanish champion. Apart from that, he's blown out a lot of people. I mean, he, you know, including first round KOs, he is violent, he's aggressive, and he goes for the KO, and he's a fun fighter. Now, he ran into Dave Allen. Now, Dave had prepared for it. You could see, even though he's still got that, he's pushed out his belly right away and to make him look fat, because he always has a humorous way. And you remember when he made, you know, he put a huge pillow, to pretend it was a huge Corey, you know, down his pants, and apparently all the batting men went wild, and it went 15 million views. You know, didn't these batting boys realise that it wasn't real? I don't know. They're probably doing too many drugs and ketamine to realise the truth. But yeah, so Dave Allen, you could see by his shoulders he was in shape. I still thought Fisher would maybe wear him down, but the problem with Fisher is, like, he's not that experienced. You know, he's still a novice. Okay. And Dave Allen put Fisher down in the 5th round. Now, to give Fisher some credit, he did have his ear busted up in the 2nd round quite badly, and he had to have fluid drained from it. Now what you got to understand in boxing, if you get a punch right on the ear hole, right, and you have damaged that part, it you know, it messes your balance up. So it could well be also, because I would imagine Fisher had a good chin. That was the chat from sparring partners, and he's got a big head, which usually means a good chin. And he just looks like he's got a good chin, but Allen put him over, had him hurt a number of times. They gave the decision to Johnny Fisher, which is not a massive surprise. I actually won money. I put money Fisher on points, so I was happy. And you know, most people expected Fisher by KO, but I know Dave Allen's a very tough fighter. And I was right, even if it was a robbery. So now everyone's going, we always knew Fisher was rubbish. He's a novice. He's so limited. Nah, come on, man. Give the man a chance. You know? He didn't have a big amateur career. He's still learning. I find his lack of accuracy to be a bit worrying, you know what I'm saying? But that Dave Allen fight may be one of the best things that happens to me. He knows what it's like to be tough. And, you know, he gritted his teeth and hung in there. I will give Johnny Fisher a 6 out of 10 as well, because he can make money. You know, with the heavyweights, you know, you're one fight away from making big money. One fight away from making bigger money. If he rematches Allen, they'll probably give Allen a big payday and give him a big wink and say, you know what you got to do, Dave. And Dave won't train and he'll get stopped. But I don't know if that's happening. But I'll give him a 6 out of 10. It could rise to more, or it could drop depending on the next couple of years. You know, I never thought Fisher would be necessarily a world-class prospect, but you know, Frank Bruno was an utter bum as well. If you look at his fights, he was terrible, just beating up these fat guys and these small guys. Look at it, and he was so dirty, hitting on the back of the head and rabbit punches. I mean, really, you watch Bruno, and they've sort of reinvented it. But it's always, he gave Tyson his best. He almost knocked out Tyson. No, he didn't. He hit Tyson one shot. Tyson took a step back and then carried on beating him up for the rest of the fight. And in the second fight, he got beaten up even quicker. I mean, Bruno's never beaten a world-class fighter. Hrgovic, maybe, but the guy came over for a holiday. You know? And he beat McCall on points, but McCall's got a lot of losses on points. He's a tough man, but, you know, he's got a bit of a punch, and he almost stopped Bruno. And, you know, they pulled him out the crack house. He was crying when he came in, you know. He admitted, you know, he'd been getting high. Not before he came in, but back in America. I mean, I wouldn't like to fight McCall. But apart from that, you know, he gave Lennox Lewis a good fight. He gave him a bit of trouble. But you knew inevitably, you know, by the skill and the pedigree that Lennox would batter him up, and he did. So, you know, I hate the reinvention of Bruno. He was really good. He'd beat most of the heavyweights. He beat Klitschko. He'd beat Tyson Fury. No, he wouldn't, man. He'd get schooled and battered. I can't stand this Bruno reinvention rubbish. It's a joke. You know, wait till he passes away, and before you know, people will be talking about him like he's Muhammad Ali or something. So Johnny Fisher's got time, and he can still be built. He can be built to world class. I don't think he won't win a world title, but he can be built up. You know, like I said, all these fighters like Liam Smith, people like that, Paul Smith, the Smith family, all these guys, they fight for a world title, but they've never beaten anyone of world standard. So that is what I expect might happen to Fisher, because he's that big ticket seller and that popular. But I'll give him a 6 out of 10 for now. I mean, he's a decent enough prospect, but the Allen thing was disappointing. Right, and who's next? We've got Justice Huni, okay, who's a prospect from Australia, 25 years old, 6'4". He's got a great amateur record. BoxRec's often the amateur records are not complete, but what we've got at least is 35 wins, 2 losses with 8 KOs. He lost to Bakodir Jalolov on points. No disgrace there, obviously, in an Olympic qualifying tournament. Apart from that, he did box internationally, but, you know, he didn't enter any big tournaments, according to BoxRec at least. Apart from Jalolov, see if there's any other recognisable names. Fraser Clark, no, that was a walkover, so didn't actually face him in the end. Mohamed Abdullayev, a really good fighter, really good amateur, had a record of 42-4 when he faced Huni. So he's you know, even though he didn't perform or he didn't do anything great at amateur, I think he turned a very young, 21. Well, I mean, in the old days, that didn't used to be young, but these days, for a heavyweight, 21 is considered pretty young, you know. As for his pro career, so his best win is probably Andrew Tabiti, who is a solid fighter. You know, he's not the best in the world. He was a sort of career cruiserweight. He moved up. He won that on points. Kevin Lorena, another career cruiserweight, who's moved up to heavyweight. He's obviously on Conor Benn's eggs because he's really muscular. Kevin Lorena is not a puncher though. He's not a puncher. 30 wins with only 14 KOs. However, since he's moved up to heavyweight, he almost KO'd Dubum in the first round. I don't even, you know, and then he sort of seemed to hold off. It was very, very odd. And Justice Huni won on points. Justice Huni won on points against Kevin Lorena, whose biggest claim to fame has been Oscar Pistorius' friend. And Pistorius asked him to take the rap for when he shot a hole in the ground in the restaurant. And Lorena's like, "No way, mate." But Lorena, in the last round, hurt Huni quite badly. And some say came close to stopping him. And also, Lorena, his mother died 2 days before. So who knows? Well, his head can't have been right. Okay. Huni's last fight was against a guy called Sean Pottegaita, who's got a good record of 10-1. But I watched that fight, and he's fat and old, and he didn't really have the basics. He was crude. Huni stopped him, and that's what you got to do with opponents that are below you in 2 rounds. So he's got an unbeaten record. As I said, 12 wins, 7 KOs, only 58% KO ratio, which for a heavyweight is it's not great. You expect more out of a world-class heavyweight if they're going to go world-class, which obviously isn't yet. He's a prospect. One thing that freaks me out is that his eyes are too close together. I'm serious, man. Check it out. His eyes are too close together. Now, apart from the fact he was hurt by Kevin Lorena, now he's an Islander, right? He's an island. Well, no, he's mixed, right? He's mixed. He's a number of different heritages. Obviously, he's born and bred in Australia, but he's of Tongan, Samoan, Swedish, and Dutch descent, which is interesting. So he's got that Islander blood in him. You'd expect him to have a good chin. I mean, not every Islander has, but they're kind of known to be tough and big and strong. But he, oh, hang on. I've just noticed something. Apparently, he won a bronze medal as an amateur in the 2019 World Championship. So actually, I'm sorry. I didn't give him that credit. I didn't see that on BoxRec. Yeah, it's not noted in BoxRec, weirdly, but they've got the fight. That was the one I talked about against Mohamed Abdullayev from Azerbaijan, and Huni beat him. So over 3 rounds on points. So actually, that is a decent achievement. A bronze medal. I mean, it's not bad. He would have been, let me see, 2000. He would have been like 20 or something. So so that's pretty cool going. However, as I said, there are worries about his chin. Lorena, even though his record doesn't seem to reflect it, can punch. Like I said, he almost destroyed Dubon. But there's a video of Justice Huni sparring, right? Check it out. Okay, so look at sparring. People get dropped in sparring. I mean, if you listen to all the sparring stories, Bakali's knocked everyone out. Dubois knocked everyone out in sparring. Other people have knocked out Dubois in sparring. Gage has been knocked out by almost everyone he's sparred. I mean, these are stories. But this is actually on tape, right? He's not wearing a head guard, weirdly. The guy who dropped him is in New Zealand called Richard Silva. He started off in kickboxing, but he's now a pro boxer. He's 7-2. This Richard Silva from New Zealand. So he's a puncher. He's got 7 wins and 6 KOs, 2 losses on points. But as I said, he has with a lot of these guys, he haven't beaten anyone of any good. Viktor Organov is probably his best win, but this guy's ancient. He's a puncher though, but he was ancient, or he looks ancient. There's a loss to a guy called Luke Modini, who's an unbeaten Australian cruiserweight with 11 wins and 9 KOs, and his Silva went the distance. This is Silva's obviously a tough guy, right? However, he's a cruiserweight, right? He fights at cruiserweight. Justin Huni's a heavyweight. And you see how much smaller he was in the sparring. Even though he can punch or whatever, he really badly hurt Huni. And that's what worries me. Especially sometimes people's chins get better when they move up in weight, especially if they get on the PEDs. But it worries me. It does worry me a bit, for Huni's future. I don't hugely rate him. Yeah, I mean, I give Justice 6 out of 10. You know, I don't want to give everyone 6 out of 10 on Matchroom, but that's kind of where they're all standing. Potentially, he can move up to a 7 if he beats some decent world-class opponents. But at the moment, I have him as a 6 out of 10. And then we move on to another prospect. Terramona Junior. Terramona. Or Terramoana. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, right? Now, this is a guy who excites me. 6'6". Yeah. He's quite photogenic, no diddy. Okay. He fought as a pro. He turned pro, but he wanted to do the Olympics, right? So he went to the Olympics. So he had a pro fight up to 2022. So he had like 4 pro fights, all KOs in the first or second round. And then, and then he had a fight in the Olympics. He went to the Olympics to represent Australia. And he did a really good job there. Very exciting. He KO'd... he KO'd his first opponent, which was Dmytro Lochinsky from Ukraine. Now, Ukrainian fighters, we know are good at producing heavyweights, right? This guy had never been stopped, right? That's super heavy. He'd never been stopped. And he had fought, internationally for years, in lots of international tournaments, European games as well. He hadn't necessarily achieved anything massive, but, like I said, Ukrainian amateurs and pros, you need to respect, especially the heavyweights that they produce, the Klitschko's, Usyk, and then obviously Lomachenko further down the weight divisions. But Terramona ironed him out, in a round. Check it out. Yeah, he brutalized that guy. And the guy, a look of shock on his face. But, like I said, Terramona had gone pro, right? But even if you look at his amateur record, okay, leading up to the Olympic Games, he knocked out his last 3 opponents prior to the Olympic Games in the first round. Yeah. And this is amateur, remember. Out of 16 wins, 12 of them by way of KO, which is a massive KO ratio for amateurs. Yeah, he had 7 losses. Only got stopped once by Bakodir Jalolov, right? Back in 2023. This was not in the Olympics. This was 2023. But I've seen it and it's terrible. It was a terrible stoppage. It was like, what? Are you serious? He actually lost some points to Justice Huni, which I missed, which is weird as an amateur. That was, if Boxer is correct, his second amateur fight, but that was at youth level. That's at youth level in 2016. So, it's a long time ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, a 6'6" giant who can really bang. And he seems really likable. He's always smiling, man. He's always smiling and joking with people, He's a very sellable guy. He looks like, like a pro wrestler. Who's that actor? What's the name of that actor? I mean, I don't watch no Hollywood movies. They're so whack anyway, but obviously you see stuff here and then. What's his name? Jason Momoa. That's it. He's really popular with the ladies. He probably had to bend over for Hollywood, though. But, yeah, he's got that look about him, long hair. He's got long hair. He's a very recognizable guy. No diddy, equal looking. And this is a potential star. He gave Bakodir Jalolov, the only decent fight of the Olympics. As I said, he'd had 4 pro fights before the Olympics. But now he's had another couple of pro fights. Both of them KOs in the first round. Yeah. This guy don't hang around. So in his pro career, he's had 4 first round KOs and 2 second round KOs. This is a destroyer. This guy I'm excited about. He's 26, just perfect age. For a heavyweight to start, to have started his pro career. And he's got all the experience of fighting the Olympic Games as his Bakodir Jalolov. I expect big things from this guy. I expect him. I've actually won money on him because he knocked out his last guy in 57 seconds. I was like, no, sorry, I didn't win money because I was checking everywhere. Where can I find odds? Where can I find odds on Terra Moana in the first round? And I couldn't. Or not even by KO. So this is a guy to watch. I believe he will, unless he's chinny, and I very much doubt he is. He's been in with Bakodir and not been hurt. This is a guy who is part of the next breed. Once all the Gay Jays, Jilai Zhang, Tyson Fury, Joseph Parker, guys like that have gone. Yeah, this guy's gonna be part of the new breed. And I think he'll win the heavyweight championship. So this is a jewel in the crown of Eddie Hearn's heavyweight stable. What do we give him as a score? Whew. I want to give him 9 out of 10, because I'm a big fan, and also of his potential. But obviously he's not had that many fights. But, at the moment, I think, even though he's a novice, I'll give him 8 out of 10 for Terra Moana, Junior Terra Moana. Definitely one to watch. And that's it. That's it for Matchroom. That's it for Matchroom. So, they've got 6 heavyweights, basically. But, there's something there. Gay J will always get a payday. Justin Huni, I don't totally believe in him. But if he picks up his game, Hrgovic, if Hrgovic can take stuff seriously, he can still be a threat to the world-class heavyweights. And I mean, he already is, but what I mean is the world title. Dempsey McKean, forget about it, man. That bum should go and become a school teacher, man. Johnny Fisher, again, people give him too much of a hard time because the limelight's on him. The limelight's right on him all the time. But he's still a novice, really. And as I said, he hurt his ear and it affected his balance probably. Dave Allen's very tough. I mean, I think he's still got improvement. You can't count him out now. You can't count him out now, Johnny Fisher. I think if he's well managed, i.e. he doesn't fight anyone really dangerous, he can get to, he might get, he can get a world ranking just because of Eddie Hearn's influence as well. You know what I'm saying? He might fight for a WBO title. I mean, he might actually get ironed out before he gets there. It might be a big upset against someone he's meant to beat and then get banged out, like almost happened against Dave Allen. But people forget how tough Dave Allen is and how he can fight when he's in shape. As I said this 1,000,001 times, Dave Allen, once he's retired, he's going to get fat. Even fatter, I should say, and he will go, he'll be watching heavyweights on TV. Oh, man, I could have been up there with these guys. I could have done this, I could have done that. But, you've got to put your back in it. If you train like Gay J or Evander Holyfield or something like that, he would have been a genuine world-class opponent, I reckon, or had a chance to be, especially with that iron chin. But, just quickly, it's also worth thinking there's some cruiserweights. The only reason I'm counting him in is because he's only got 6 heavyweights, Eddie Hearn. But there's some cruiserweights, all of whom might move up to heavyweight, because ultimately most cruiserweights do, because that's where the cash money is. So JL Pitaya, obviously, is the big name. People say he's a bit small for heavyweight. I mean, he gets dwarfed by his last 2 opponents, Jordan Thompson and David Nika, but he dealt with him in style. He did get hurt slightly by Nika, but Nika's a big puncher. And Opetaya just seemed intent on not thinking about defense. So Opetaya moving up would bring a big heavyweight hope. After you can bulk him up to 230 pounds, like Kevin Lorena's done. He's about Kevin Lorena's size. But a hell of a lot better, with a hell of a lot of a bigger punch. And he's got that dark look in his eye, bro. So I think in the future, he will be in the heavyweight mix. Who's the other cruiserweights? Jordan Thompson, well, he's okay. He's definitely got the frame for it. But he got taken to pieces by Opetaya and hasn't boxed since. Shavon Clark, Sonny Edwards, his boyfriends, or one of them. He's really, he's not good. He's already had a loss, and he's already really muscular and stocky at the weight. I don't see him moving up to heavyweight or being any good. Pat Brown's fought in the Olympics. I think he lost the first round. He's Very sellable. He's got a pro style. He'll be turning pro at cruiser, but who knows? He could well move up. You know, if it all goes well at cruiser. I mean, obviously, what that means is, if you win a world title at cruiser, and it's a bit early to tell with Pat Brown, but you know, he's certainly good enough to get into world level at cruiser. There are not even that many good world level cruiserweights. Let's remember. So that is the Matchroom stable. That's the Matchroom stable. It's okay. What rank did I give them the Matchroom stable for their heavyweights? Well, I mean, you know, I'm not comparing them to Shalom, but very average. Very average. 5 out of 10. I mean, you know. Actually, maybe you should give it 6. Another 6. Because they've got Gay J, who is coming to the end, but he still has been heavyweight champ twice and brings money. Filip Hrgovic has got the talent to do a lot better. Huni, I don't think so. Dempsey McKean, forget about it. Johnny Fisher, as I said, has potential certainly to make money. But Teramwana, that's the man. That's the jewel in the crown. That's the bag of gold, potentially, for Hearn's stable.